National Cabinet has agreed to scrap the 5-day COVID-19 isolation period for positive cases. Prime Minister Anthony Albanese announced the changes on Friday, which will come into effect on October 14, following a National Cabinet meeting in Canberra. Watch the video above. COVID isolation rules scrapped.Watch the latest news on Channel 7 or stream for free on 7+. Albanese told reporters on Friday, National Cabinet had agreed that states and territories will end their respective mandatory isolation requirements on October 14. The pandemic leave disaster payments will end at that time as well, with the exception of people in high-risk settings, which need to be given particular support, he said. Chief Medical Officer Professor Kelly said the decision was based upon a context-specific and timing-specific set of recommendations. For now, as I've stated, I believe removing isolation at this time is a reasonable cause of action from the public health point of view, he said. We are in a very low transmission, community transmission phase of the pandemic here in Australia. It does not in any way suggest that the pandemic is finished. We will almost certainly see future peaks of the virus into the future, as we have seen earlier in this year. However, at the moment, we have very low rates of both cases, hospitalizations, intensive care admissions, aged care outbreaks and various other measures that we have been following very closely in our weekly open report. It comes after AMA President Steve Robson blasted calls to scrap the 5 days of isolation requirement, warning virus cases could spike yet again. People who are pushing for the isolation periods to be cut are not scientifically literate and are putting the public at risk, and they need to understand that, he told the ABC. We're seeing a huge upswing in the numbers of COVID cases again. It's coming into holiday season, when people would be traveling around the world. It's a period of significant risk and we're urging caution because we need to protect the health system. Professor Robson said it was critical for state and territory leaders to heed the health advice given to National Cabinet. Ahead of the meeting, NSW Premier Dominic Perrottet called for mandatory isolation for COVID to be dropped altogether. We need to get to a point where if you're sick you stay at home and if you're well, you go out and about and enjoy life, and that's where we have to get to as a country, he told reporters. The latest weekly COVID-19 data will also be released by states and territories on Friday. There were almost 45,000 infections recorded last week, with more than 200 deaths. With Op.